Once upon a time, at the edge of a quiet village where the roads turned to forest paths and the forest paths turned to mystery, there stood a castle that most people had forgotten about. It rose up behind the trees, tall grey towers, ivy-covered walls, windows that caught the last light of every evening and held it there, glowing softly, long after the rest of the world had gone dark. In the village below, there lived a man named Maurice and his daughter, Belle. Belle was the kind of person who always had a book in her hands and a question forming somewhere behind her eyes. She loved the village, truly she did, but she also loved the feeling of opening a page and stepping somewhere else entirely, somewhere larger, stranger, and full of possibility. One winter evening, Maurice set out through the forest on his old horse and lost his way in the dark. The snow came down in soft, heavy curtains, and the wind moved through the trees like a low song. His horse stopped at the edge of a clearing, and there, through the falling snow, Maurice saw the castle gates standing open. He went inside simply to get warm and found a fire already burning, a chair already waiting, and a table already set with food and tea, as though someone had known he was coming. He had almost begun to feel at ease when the beast appeared. He was tall, very tall, with broad shoulders and a face that was not like a man's face, and not quite like an animal's either. Dark fur, curved horns, golden eyes that caught the firelight and held it. But his voice, when he spoke, was low and even, and the words he chose were careful. "You are in my home," the beast said. "You ate my food and sat by my fire." "I meant no harm," Maurice said, which was true. "I know," said the beast. And then, after a long pause, "But there is a cost. You must send me your daughter." Maurice went home with a heavy heart, and when Belle heard what had happened, she did not hesitate for very long. She was frightened, anyone would have been, but she was also the sort of person who could not let someone else carry a burden that belonged to her. She packed a small bag, kissed her father, and rode to the castle before the next morning came. The beast met her at the gate. In daylight he looked different, still large, still strange, but somehow less alarming. The horns caught the pale winter sun. His golden eyes looked at her steadily, without cruelty. "You came," he said. "I came," Belle said. She was given a room that was warm and softly lit, with a window that looked out over the snow-covered gardens, and a bookshelf that ran the full length of one wall. That bookshelf alone was enough to make her stand very still for a moment, just looking. The days passed slowly and then more quickly. In the mornings, Belle explored. The castle was enormous and full of things to discover. Long corridors lined with paintings, a music room with an instrument that played by itself in the evenings, a greenhouse where flowers bloomed even in the middle of winter, their petals bright against the frost on the glass. In the afternoons, she read, and in the evenings, the beast would appear at her door and ask, always quietly and always politely, if she would join him for dinner. The first night, she was wary. She sat across from him at the long table and kept her answers short. The second night, she asked him a question. She couldn't help it. She was curious by nature, and he answered it thoughtfully. And she asked another, and he answered that one too. By the third night, they were talking through the whole meal and into the hour after, sitting by the fire in the library while the candles burned low around them. She learned things about him slowly, the way you learn the layout of a new house, one room at a time, each one opening unexpectedly onto the next. He had read almost every book in the library and remembered all of them. He knew the names of the stars and the histories of old kingdoms. He was gentle with the animals that lived in the castle grounds, the horses in the stable, the birds that came to the greenhouse windows, the old dog that slept by the kitchen fire and followed him from room to room. And he was lonely. That was the thing she understood most clearly and most quietly, without him ever having to say it. One evening, he brought her to a room she had not yet found, a small, round room at the top of one of the towers, with a domed ceiling of glass. Through it, the night sky was completely visible, huge and scattered with stars. They sat in 2 chairs that faced the glass, and neither of them spoke for a long time, and it was the most comfortable silence Belle had felt in years. "Do you miss your home?" he asked finally. "Sometimes," she said honestly, "I miss my father." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You may go and visit him. I won't keep you here against your will. I never wanted to." Belle looked at him. "Then why did you ask my father to send me?" "Because I was lonely," he said simply, "and I didn't know any other way to ask for company." She went home for a few days and found her father well, and the village the same as always, and herself somehow different, larger inside, the way you become when you've lived somewhere new and learned something true about the world. But she also found herself thinking about the library and the greenhouse and the glass ceiling full of stars, and about the beast, sitting alone at the long dinner table with no one to talk to. She came back before her week was out. He was in the garden when she arrived, standing very still among the rose bushes, roses that bloomed even in winter, deep red against the white snow, the one piece of magic in the castle that had never faded. He turned when he heard her horse on the path, and she saw something move across his face that she had not seen there before. Not happiness, exactly, something quieter and deeper than that. "You came back," he said. "I told you I would," said Belle. That night, at dinner, the candles seemed to burn a little warmer. After they ate, they walked through the greenhouse together, and Belle told him about her village and her father and the books she had loved as a child, and he listened the way he always did, completely, without interrupting, as though what she was saying was the most important thing in the world. And later, in the library, as the fire burned down to quiet embers, and the castle settled into its evening stillness around them, something shifted. It was not a sudden thing. It was slow, like the turning of seasons, gradual and gentle and inevitable. The spell that had kept the beast as he was had never required a grand gesture or a dramatic decoration. It only required something true, and what was true by now was simple. Belle cared for him, not in spite of what he was, but because of who he was. The careful way he spoke, the gentleness of his hands, the loneliness he carried like something he'd grown used to the weight of and never quite set down. When the change came, it came softly, the way dawn comes, not all at once, but slowly, light replacing dark without a clear moment you could point to and say, "There, that was when it happened." The fur, the horns, the strange and heavy form he had carried for so long, all of it fell away like a coat finally taken off at the end of a long journey. He stood before her, himself at last, and looked at her with the same golden eyes she had always known. "Still me," he said quietly. "Still you," she agreed. Outside, the snow had stopped. The roses in the garden were blooming, red and rich, and impossibly alive. In the greenhouse, every flower had opened at once, filling the glass house with color and a scent like summer. And inside the castle, in the warm library, with its hundreds of books and its low-burning fire, Belle and the beast, still himself, always himself, sat together as the night deepened and the stars turned slowly overhead. And that is where we leave them, in the quiet, in the warmth, in the middle of a story that is only just beginning. You too are in the middle of your story, and tonight your part of it is rest. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let the warmth find you. Somewhere, a library is waiting, and a garden is in bloom, and the stars are turning slowly overhead. Good night.